Shalom, shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. This lesson, it just going into diaspora and just touching in how the Israelites became scattered, and that's pretty much it. And the Israelites today, being the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and how history is repeating itself, and the scriptures give you the key and the understanding. And this is a fairly simple concept to understand that we were Israelites, we are Israelites. Part of the curses would be that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai would scatter us into different lands. We would be amongst our enemies. We would lose our heritage. So being amongst the different nations, we would become like those different nations. So I'm just going to start here. This is John chapter 7, and I'm going to go just start at verse 34. It says, Yahushai, this is Yahushai speaking. It says, ye shall seek me. John verse 7 and verse 34. John chapter 7 and verse 34. Salakia. Ye shall seek me and shall not find me, and where I am, thither ye cannot come. And this is about Yahushai. He's getting ready to go up into the heavens, but he's speaking over the scribes, the Pharisees, these Jews' heads. So then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? So you'll see different words that are ultimately talking about the same thing. You'll see Greek, Gentile, heathen, which it'll have different contexts. And this context is speaking of the Israelites that have been scattered, and they're dwelling amongst the heathen nations. So I just looked up this here. We'll just go to the tools here on the blue letter. It says, whither shall he go? And we shall not find him. Dispersed is G1290 diaspora. And then also Gentiles, Helen, which I have that pulled up a little later. But Helen is another word for Greek. So let's look up this word here, diaspora, first. This is G1290 diaspora. It says from dispersion, and I'm also going to look up that root word. It says especially and concretely the converted Israelite resident in Gentile countries. So this is an Israelite that's in a foreign land. The biblical usage, a scattering dispersions of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations, of Christians scattered abroad among Gentiles, which is the same thing. You can't be a Christian. You got to be an Israelite to be a Christian. This is who it's for. Yahushai only came to save his people, not the entire world, not every nation on earth, but the Israelites that have been scattered amongst every nation on earth. Oh, even here, I didn't look all the way down but this is James 1:1. James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Lord Yahushai Hamashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Which that abroad, that says diaspora, that's dispersed. To the 12 tribes that are dispersed, greetings. It's not saying, it ain't say to all the nations on earth, greeting. No, to the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes of Israel. And I'm going to the root word diaspero, G1289, diaspero. And you got to forgive me, my Greek ain't too, It says to sow throughout, i.e., figuratively, to distribute in foreign lands, to scatter abroad. Now that's a part of the curses. So let's look at the biblical usage: to scatter abroad, to disperse. Even here in Acts 8:4, therefore they that were scattered abroad went everywhere preaching the word. And this is the early Christians, the early followers of Yahushua, the early followers of the anointed, of the Messiah. So they went preaching the word. Who were they preaching the word to? The Israelites. So I'm going to go here to scatter. I just looked up scattered here in the King James. And I'm just going to go to here. You know, this is all over the scriptures. You know, Leviticus 26:33. This is to the Israelites. And I will scatter you among the heathen. Let's look at that. Among the heathen. G1471 Gawaya says a nation, people, usually of non-Hebrew people. It can mean the descendants of Abraham, of Israel. But in this case, it's speaking of foreign nations. You got to look the context. What it's saying, because it's not saying I'm going to scatter you, among the Israelites, but amongst the other nations. And I will scatter you among the heathen and will draw a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate and your cities waste. So Deuteronomy 4:27, and Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall scatter you among the nations. Let's look at that word. Is it also I'm? That's I'm means people. Ooh, that one just came to mind. Okay. H5971, I'm, says a people, specifically a tribe, as those of Israel, because it can be talking about Israel. Hence, collectively, troops or attendants, figuratively, a flock, folk, men, nation, people. So a nation, people, nation, persons, members of one's people, compatriot, countrymen, kinsmen, kindred. But this is speaking of foreign nations. So, and Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall lead you. So, before I continue on, let me get this precept real quick. Came to mind because it's speaking of I'm. So, go to Hosea chapter 1. So I'm just going to get straight to the point. Hosea chapter 1 and verse 8. Now when she had weaned Lo Ruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai said Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, call his name Lo Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your power. So here, let's look at the name Lo Ami, which means what? La'ah. So H3818, La'ah, which means no or not, and then I'm there's that word I'm for people. I'm, so not people, and then Yah meaning my. So not my people. So even right here, Lo Ami, not my people. So let's look at here. Ye are not. I'm, there it is again, my people. Because we're Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai's chosen people. Let's look at that again. One more precept. Let's see here. Is this, if this is what I'm thinking of? Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, thy power. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, thy power, have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. And this is speaking of Israel, not the other nations. above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So you've been chosen to be a special people to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, above all the other people that are on the face of the earth. But now at this point, where is that? Hosea chapter, let me see. Let me get another one too. I believe this is Baruch chapter, there we go. This is Baruch, before I get back to that, this is Baruch chapter 4 and verse 6. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So if you were sold to the nations, guess what? You were given away to them. You were sold to them. Meaning that after you were dispersed unto those nations, going into slavery with the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, the revived Roman Empire today, the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade, the trans-Pacific slave trade. So you were sold to the nations, not for your destruction. This isn't for our destruction. This is because we're a peculiar people to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. But because ye moved Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies. And that's also what Amos 3 and 2. Hey, we're the only people Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is known. So we gotta pay. He's given us the law, statutes, commandments. So we're the only people that he's dealing with like this. The other nations, hey, they're gonna get this coming soon. They're gonna know what this is like. This is gonna come back on them. But the point being, you were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemies. For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils, and not Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So that's the main thing. Sacrificing, worshiping other gods, committing adultery, doing all manner of wickedness. And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, at this point in Hosea, was fed up with it. Fed up, had enough. Matter of fact, I'm going to start up Hosea 1 and verse 6. And she conceived again and bare a daughter. And power said unto him, call her name Lo-Ruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. So no more mercy, no more sacrifices, no more sending the prophets, none of that stuff. Mercy is over. Now you gotta suffer. But I will have mercy on the house of Judah and will save them by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai their power, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. And ultimately, because the Savior came out of Judah, out of the lineage of David. So that's where the salvation came up. And they were allowed to keep the laws, the statutes, commandments. They were allowed to somewhat stay in the land, allowed to how do you say, to continue in the heritage that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai gave them. Now back to continue reading verse 8. Now when she had weaned Lo-Ruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Now and then said power, call his name Lo-Ami or La-Aimia, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your power. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. And also, what I read, you'll be left few in number amongst the heathen. But here it says, yet still the children of Israel are going to be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. So now the word is coming out here today. Fast forwarding unto today. Now it's being told to the Israelites again. You're not Americans. You're not blacks. You're not Latinos. You're not Native Americans. You're not whatever label has been placed upon you. You are Israelites. You are the sons and daughters of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. You are the people of this book. You are the people that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai sent his son to save. But this is, let me see here. What was I? Oh, back to scatter though. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 27. And Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall lead you. And Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall scatter thee among, Deuteronomy 28:64. And Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall scatter thee among all people. Now, Deuteronomy 28 is a very important chapter because this is going over the blessings and the curses that would befall the Israelites. And it also mentions in the curses from verse 15 on down that these things would be a sign, a wonder, a mark, meaning it would be a token. It would be evidence that these curses are on us. It would be evidence these curses are on us, and these curses would be an identifier that we're the Israelites, something that you could identify with, something that you could see like, oh, I get it. I recognize that. I've seen that. That's talking about me. That's talking about my people. You know, your eye being evil towards your brother, the women being whores, harlots, being stricken with madness, all manner of inflammation and diseases, constantly being in hard times. The curses are an identifier. So again, Deuteronomy 28 verse 64, and Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So you're going to serve other gods here. What's the main gods is Christianity. It has nothing to do with the scriptures. It's just like how they make movies. They say this is based on a true story and stuff like that. You know, this is loosely based on events that happen. This is what Christianity has done with the Bible. It's loosely based on a true story. They changed all the characters. They changed everything around for their creative, how do you say, with their creative liberty, which you're not supposed to do. And they made it about them. They made it something that it's not. They made it to where who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, he came to save everybody. They made him a so-called white man when he's actually a dark-skinned man from the tribe of Judah. He had white woolly hair. Yahushua I'm speaking of. He was an austere man. He wasn't all lovey-dovey, hippie like that. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to jump to the next page on this. This is, I'm going to go to Ezekiel. Let me see if I don't already have it pulled up. Okay. I already have it pulled up, so I don't have to go to that. But still focusing on the words scattered. Let me see here. I'm going to start at verse 17. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Ooh, that's disgusting. Meaning the uncleanness of a removed woman, meaning she's on her monthly, her cycle. And when a woman is on her cycle, you're not supposed to be in the same room as her. She's supposed to be isolated. Anything that she touches becomes unclean. And this is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai comparing the entire house of Israel. to this, to an unclean woman, meaning everything they touch, everything they're doing is unclean. Yahweh Shem Yahushua don't want to be around you. And you might think today like, oh, that's harsh, but this is the reality. When you think of, because you're supposed to flee from, you're supposed to be disgusted, you're supposed to be abhor unclean things. Our people like disgusting things like shrimp, crab, lobster, oysters, and unclean pork, adultery. Our people love unclean things like that. But in reality, according to the scriptures, according to the law, you are supposed to be disgusted by this stuff. It's supposed to make your stomach turn. You want to get away from it. You got to get away from it. But this is Yahweh Shem Yahushua giving a comparison. This is what you're like to me. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. So this is the ways that you chose. You chose your own ways instead of Yahweh Shem Yahushua's ways, which bring life. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed. There's that dispersed again. Let's look at that. H2219 Zerah. To toss about, to cast away, to scatter, cast away, winnow, disperse. Yeah, so you were cast away. Let's look at this word for scatter. H6327 Pawatazah, to be scattered, dispersed. So these are two different words that mean the same thing. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them. So this is Yahweh Shem Yahushua, his judgment. He scattered us amongst all these different nations. And here, again, once Yahweh Shem Yahushua scattered us, he's going to gather us back together. And this is through the word. This is what Yahushua came to do. This is what you see going out, while you see all these so-called black Hebrew Israelites out here, which we're not black Hebrew Israelites. We're Hebrew Israelites. You know, the word is going out via the internet. The internet is doing the heavy lifting. The internet is going out all throughout the earth. The word is going out all throughout the earth. This message is going out. For Ezekiel 34 and verse 11, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is looking for his sheep. So let me get this before, well, let me get this first and I'll come back. Now, all I did was look up this, just lost sheep, Israel. 2 verses came up. I'm going to get this first, Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So this is the lost sheep, those that have been scattered, the Israelites. Ezekiel 34 and verse 12. And this is what Yahushua came to do. He came to gather his sheep together, starting with the elect. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, or verse 11, Ezekiel 34 and verse 11. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and I will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. So we're being gathered by the word, and ultimately the elect are going to be gathered into the chariots, the so-called UFOs. And they're going to be changed. And I'll continue, and I will, verse 13, and I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries, and I will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and in all the inhabited places of the country. So we're gonna be gathered first by the word and then by the chariots, and we're gonna return home. And this is all gonna be happening in the last days. You know, the small hats that are over there right now, and those aren't you got Israelites scattered among them, but ultimately those aren't the people. You know, also when we return home, there's going to be peace on earth. But before that, there's going to be uprisings of the people, World War III, the MOTB, the RFID microchip, that system implemented, Jacob's trouble. There's still things to go through before the Israelites return home. But this showing we're those people. So let me get this. This is Baruch chapter 4 and verse 37. Well, actually, let me get 36. O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And who is that? This Yahushai. He brought us salvation. Lo, thy sons come, whom thou sentest away. They come gathered from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So ultimately, Yahushai is that word, and the word is the scriptures gathering us together, the Spirit. This is John chapter 1 and verse 14. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, and the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. So that word, the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, became flesh. He came down here as a man. Luke chapter 1 and verse 68. Blessed be the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the power of Israel, the God of Israel, have visited us. He's redeemed us. He's saved us by sending his son Yahushai. And he's that horn of salvation, that power of salvation. And from the lineage of David. He's from that seed line. But this is a part of that, a part of all this. This is who he's come to save. This is who he's come to get, those that were dispersed. So back to John 7:35. This is in the Amplified version. Says, then the Jews said among themselves, where does this man intend to go that we will not find him? Does he intend to go to the dispersion, it says, of Jews scattered and living among the Greeks, and teach the Greeks? So now I'm going to look at that word Helen. So is he coming? Is Yahushai going to go amongst them? No, Yahushai is up in the heavens, but the word, starting with the apostles that he selected, those that he sent out, the word is going to go out to those dispersed, to those that are living amongst the Greeks, amongst the Hellenes. So let me look this up. I thought I had it, but I didn't. So looked up that. Let's look at Helen, or Greek. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to go this one. This is G1672, Helen. And I'm going to get that too, just in case. A Helen, a Grecian, or inhabitant of Hellas, by extension, a Greek-speaking person, especially a non-Jew, a Gentile Greek. But this can be in this instance is referring to an Israelite that's scattered amongst these Greeks, amongst those that are speaking Greek, that are actual Greeks, and speaking their language, living after their lifestyle. So it's a Greek either by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or of the Greek islands or colonies. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, because the Jews were a separate nation. They still kept their heritage. But not my, how do you say, Hosea? I gotta sneeze. Slacky. How it says in Hosea, you're not my people. Guess what? They became a different nation. They were scattered. They lost their heritage. They started speaking those languages. So let me read it again. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, customs, and learning of the Greek their own. So you lost the Israelite heritage and you took on this. You learned the language, you learned the customs, the religions, you ate the foods that they ate, you wore their clothing. And eventually, after a generation or two, you could see it happening here in Babylon the Great, in America. If you come from a foreign land, let's say you came from Mexico, your parents, their parents, or whatever, came from Mexico. They were speaking Spanish, which is already colonized language, or speaking the indigenous language that they had there. You come here to America, you start learning English. Your grandma or whatever can kind of, knows a little bit of English, can't really speak it. Then her kids, your parents, they can speak English and Spanish or whatever, and then you don't know any Spanish. And then you don't go to visit the hometown in Mexico, whatever like that. You don't wear the I don't want to say, you don't wear the poncho and sombrero, which that's fucking bullshit. But you don't wear the clothes over there. You wear American style clothes. You listen to rap and hip hop. You don't listen to, ranchero or whatever. You listen to rock and roll. You don't listen to cumbia. But Lord willing, this is, making sense. Let me see here. Let's look at this word for Hellas. G1671. Hellas, country in Europe, is speaking of Greece. Okay, that's not really. So from here, let's go to the etymology. The word Helen, this is just a quick Google AI breakdown overview. The word Helen has an etymological connection to ancient Greece and the name of the mythical ancestor of the Greeks, Helen, who is believed to be the father of Hellenes, the Greeks. The name Helen is also related to the Greek word hell or sun and light. That's fine. All right. Let's see where. Hellenization etymology. Just a quick Google overview. The word Hellenization refers to the adoption of Greek culture, language, and customs by non-Greeks. So, like how it said, Helen, for the Greeks dispersed. You have different kinds. You have Helen, Hellenista, and there's one more, and it slips my mind right now, but Hellenization refers to the adoption of Greek culture, language, and customs by non-Greeks. The etymology of the word traces back to ancient Greek, the verb Hellenize, meant to make Greek. So they were made Greek. The noun Hellenism meant to imitation of the Greeks. So you're imitating another culture that's not your own. You're taking this on. It's not your culture, but you're imitating it. It becomes yours. The term gained prominence during the Hellenistic period, which followed Alexander the Great's conquest and saw widespread spread of Greek culture across the ancient world. So actually, I have that pulled up. First Maccabees. I'm going to go up verse 1, and I'm going to jump around. So I'm going to start at verse 1. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, and had smitten, which he was a Macedonian. Yeah, it says Macedonian. Had smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and Medes. Now you can read about this in the book of Daniel. This is the book of Daniel chapter 7 and Daniel also chapter 2. And then even the Persians and the Medes are also mentioned. All this is in the scriptures. And this is also showing the importance of the Apocrypha, because just the scriptures or the Bibles or just the Old and New Testaments, they don't have this in between. This events that happen. It just jumps from the Persians and the Medes to the Romans. And you're missing a big chunk of history. You're missing a big chunk of history and the reasons why they're referring to, these Israelites as Greeks and Gentiles. How this happened. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. So imagine here, the Persian Empire was from India to Ethiopia. That vast landmass, vast space of land, expanding continent, or what's the word? Consisting of several continents, several land masses. And then Alexander the Greek came and conquered that kingdom, which conquered that entire landmass in a period of 12 years. A very short period of time. So he conquered the known world back then. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. So after he died, his kingdom was pretty much separated to 4 different generals that he had under him, which he had many generals, but these was like his top ones. And I'm going to jump down. So I'm going to jump down to verse 11. In those days there went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So these are wicked Israelites, wicked Jake, that wanted to make deals with the Israelites. Not Slackett, with the heathen. These are wicked Israelites that wanted to make deals with the heathen and join up with them because they seen them prospering. So this advice pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. So they went and got, a written consent from the king that they could go and follow the heathen. So they wanted to follow them. They seen them prospering. This was that beginning. This is Hellenization happening. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. So Hellenization. They're imitating the Greeks, the Hellenes, and it became it. You forsook Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Now you're another nation. And I'm going to jump down to also here in verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So the Antiochus, sent this is one of the four generals, but this is one of the sons. This has happened over a period of time. I believe Alexander the Greek, he started his rule in 333 BC. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that real quick. Okay, I got it. So Alexander the Great ruled. It says he reigned from 336 to 323 BC. So that period of time, from then all the way up until when the Romans took over, this is a few hundred years, and all this is taking place. This is taking place over a period of time. So where was I? First Maccabees. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, and set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, and that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. So verse 50, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So this is what was going on in Israel. This was that Hellenization taking place. If you don't do this, you're going to die. And many people consented to that and became Greeks, became Hellenes. They left off. They forgot. This was their new culture now. And over a period of time, you're going to forget completely about Israel. You're going to forget that the Israelites. But that's why the word went out. This is why Yahushua came, to bring us back. So let me go here. This is Romans chapter 10, and I'll start at verse 11. For the scripture saith, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. So this isn't whosoever, like anybody. This is speaking to the Israelites, because this is who it's given to. For the scripture saith, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. Believe in Yahushai. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. For the same Lord is over all. For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. So there's no difference, which going into that Greek, that's Hellen. Again, what I've been looking at. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, because they're the same people. Which this is speaking of the southern kingdom, because the northern kingdom was already gone. They were here in the Americas. For there is no difference between Jew and Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. So, and I'll continue reading, because there is no difference. They're the same people. It's just those people were scattered. They lost their heritage. They had no way back. Now that Yahushua came and did what he had to do to be a sacrifice unto Israel to redeem us, we got a way back. So, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. How then shall they call upon him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So the names, Yahweh, meaning he to be, he exists, and Yahushua, he saves, he delivers. How are you gonna call on those names if you didn't believe in him, if you don't know, if you ain't heard the word? How shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And this is why you're seeing, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and the men that taught them, that are out here preaching today. The word has to go out. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. So this is the word going out. This is what you're seeing now. This is Acts 2. Acts 2.0. You know, you're seeing history repeating itself. There was a mass awakening in the time of Acts. That's why all the epistles, the letters, that's why all those were sent out. And there's a mass awakening happening now. So that's pretty much all I have for the lesson. And Lord willing, it was edifying. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Hey, Shalom.